privileged to introduce a woman who is my hero. I started reading about her last night, and frankly, I had to take notes because her accomplishments are so, mind-blowing. I was like, is it possible for one human being to do all of this? Her name is Seba Johnson. She was the first black female to ever ski in the Olympics. Additionally, in 1988, during the Winter Olympic Games, she became the youngest alpine skier in Olympic history. The youngest alpine ski racer in Olympic history at the age of 14. All right, now, this is a woman who got disqualified from a very important race. Why? Because she refused to wear a ski suit that contained leather. Give it up for her. Additionally, she was qualified to compete in Norway at Olympic Games, and she said, no way, because Norway was allowing the whaling to go on, commercial whaling. This is a woman who lives by her principles. And I want to say, the thing that I love about her most, she's a gold star vegan. You know what that is? She has never eaten meat and dairy in her entire life. She's been vegan from birth. All right, now, as Seba Johnson comes up, I want to tell you that along with Jeff in the Oasis tent, it is Seba's birthday. And she turns 43. She looks about 16, but she turned 43 today. Let's all sing. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. My girlfriend's out there. You better start singing, girl. Happy birthday, dear Seba and Jeff in the Oasis tent. Happy birthday to you. I love you, my hero.
Thank you. Do you mind if, could you hold this book? Sorry.
Well, I might eat it.
Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you guys, and thank you so much for that beautiful welcome. That's gorgeous, so thank you. Nice. So as Jane said, my name is Seba Johnson. I come from very humble beginnings. I was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands. My first exposure to life was a housing project. My mother had 2 dimes in her pocket the day I was born. She was an artist, so she sold paintings in order to live, basically, and to support my sister and I. And one day she sold enough paintings so that we could take a trip to Switzerland. So we flew to Switzerland when I was about 5 years old, and I saw skiing for the first time. I remember it was a beautiful, bright, sunny day, like today, but it had puffs of clouds and there was snow, of course. So I saw the skiers gracefully skiing down the hill at the age of 5. I had this huge afro, and I was looking up at my mom, and I was like, Mom, I want to be a skier. She didn't think much of it. She looked down at me and she just said, okay. And then 9 years later, I was at the start gate of the Olympics. And thank you. So I made history for being the youngest at the age of 14, made history for being the first black female in the Olympics. And with that came a lot of racism and things that I wasn't ready for at the age of 14. And unfortunately, I got my first death threat several days before my actual first competition in the games. It was really hard to deal with because it just was hard to deal with. But I raced and I came in 28th out of 64, and that was after someone attempted to crash into me and hurt me before my ski race. There were a lot of things that happened, but because of my ethical and moral obligations to animals and my ethical beliefs in animals, I, like Jane said, was disqualified from one of the World Cup ski races because I had patches of leather that was sewn in the inside of my ski suit. And that made more press attention than the actual winner of the race. So I was able to actually, use my voice to speak up for animals. It had, thank you. I mean, it made no sense to take a dead cow's skin down a ski hill with me in a race. So then, raced in the 1992 Winter Olympic Games and beat about half the pack there. I was still the youngest there at those games as well. All the racers that were winning the races were at least 10 years older than myself. I qualified for the 1996, oh my goodness, what year was that? Anyways, I qualified for the following Winter Olympic Games in Lillehammer, Norway, and refused to compete and boycotted that because Norway had just lifted the moratorium on minke whale hunting. And I think it's so important. Thank you. Oh my God, I love you guys. Is it the beer? Is that why you're clapping? Sorry about that again. So, yeah, so I think it's very important when you have a voice to speak up for animals and speak up against any kind of oppression. I think veganism as well is about being against any sort of oppression of any animals, exploiting animals. And it's not only about the animals that we see with fur or scales or gills, it's also about each other. We have to be kind to each other. We have to respect each other's ways and understand that veganism is all about inclusivity, if that's the right way of saying it. And I think it's very important that we also highlight people of color who are doing great things within the animal rights movement and within veganism as well. Thanks. And then I also think that we have to be very supportive of people who are coming into veganism and let them know that the animals cannot afford to wait for any kind of delay. All right, so thank you. I think I pretty much covered everything, and I really appreciate the happy birthday song. So enjoy your day, and please, actually, if you can, go to sebajohnson.com, click on the link you caring. I have crowd fundraising campaign that I just opened up last night as a gift to myself to hopefully get my book published. And it will be a book of memoirs about all the different types of things that have happened, from anywhere from coming from abuse to actually accomplishing what you set your mind out to doing, and hopefully saving many lives, animals, and humans alike. Thank you.
Champion, Seba Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.